Hello there. You know, Shakespeare once wrote, "What is in a name? Would a rose by any other name still smell as sweet?" Well, I say, what is in a frame? Does a Sendstorm by any other name still fly as sweet? Today, we're going to be looking at this, the Bolt by Beeline Products. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the Bolt, it's important to talk about the history of frames produced by Beeline Products to really understand where this frame's come from. And it all starts with this, the TBS Source 2. No, not a frame designed by Beeline, but it is the genesis of which the Sendstorm, the previous generation of frames by Beeline, has come from. Like many racing pilots looking to get into the sport, you're looking for the cheapest and easiest components to get started. And the TBS Source 2 makes a lot of sense. Its simple design and its ridiculously cheap cost make it the ideal frame for those looking to get started. Like many new pilots, Houdini from Beeline Products started with the Source 2. And he quickly found, as he progressed in his racing career, that there are some significant limitations in the design of this frame. These start with the single bottom plate, in which the stack is mounted directly to the bottom plate, meaning you need to route your battery strap under the stack. This causes a number of problems where if you damage your bottom plate, there's a good chance you're going to break your stack. If your battery strap is too thick or your battery strap causes some other kind of issues, there's a chance that you could break your stack. Also, the arms are quite thin and heavily prone to breaking. I think every pilot who's ever flown a Source 2 will appreciate this and know that the arms are one of the main weak parts of this design. Also, depending on how you do your top plate, this is a 3D printed design, but your camera is also quite exposed, meaning that new pilots are likely to destroy cameras. Also, with the single bottom plate, there's a considerable amount of flex in the design, which as you start to get faster and looking to tune your quads more, can cause some severe limitations in progressing your flying. So this led Houdini to start experimenting with design and playing with the open source nature of the Source 2. He started by producing thicker arms, trying to prevent the issue of constant arm breakage in racing. From there, he continued to see the limitations in the design and progressed to designing his own frame. And that leads us to this, the original Sendstorm by Beeline Products. Taking on the design principles of the TBS Source 2, the Sendstorm adds a mid plate which your stack can mount on, also which provides a significant amount of rigidity to the design. Houdini also beefed up the arms, making them 6 millimeters thick, chamfered, as well as a very smart looking spike on the end of the arms, which provides great purchase on launch blocks when activating launch control. Also, he inserted the camera into the frame, providing excellent protection between the standoffs, meaning that you're very unlikely to destroy a camera with this frame. All in all, the Sendstorm was an excellent design, built upon the TBS Source 2, but made it better in every possible way. Extremely strong and extremely durable. In fact, not many pilots would destroy a Sendstorm at all. Arms rarely break. Top plates and bottom plates rarely break. It is a rock solid platform. And if anything, I think most pilots recognize when flying this that Houdini at Beeline Products has a very poor business model in the sense that an indestructible drone means that pilots aren't going to be purchasing spares and new arms from you over periods of time. It's an almost buy once, cry once design, which is excellent for pilots. But not to be outdone, Houdini continued to expand on the Sendstorm line, advancing to this, the Sendstorm Lite. This takes all the characteristics of the original Sendstorm and shrinks it down to a 20 by 20 only design. The arms stay the same, so it makes it extremely easy for a pilot to progress from the original Sendstorm through to this Sendstorm Lite. This design, as I said, only 20 by 20, or only nano cameras as well. And again, the camera sits inside between the standoffs, offering great protection. The arms are super strong, and as pilots get faster and faster, this is the frame they want to move to from the original Sendstorm. And in something that is unique to only the Sendstorm, and I can guarantee you have never seen a frame designer do this in their life, Houdini realized that the arms on the Sendstorm were too strong. Pilots would make crashes, and instead of breaking arms, they would be breaking their bottom and mid plates here. And on race day, that can cause some issues. It's far quicker to change an arm than it is to have to change a bottom and mid plate and replace and swap over the stack to a new frame. So, contrary to what any other frame designer would possibly think to do in their lifetime, Houdini actually went about trying to make the arms a weak point in this design so that the arms would break on impact rather than the bottom and mid plate. Something I've never seen, and I don't think anyone else has ever seen from a frame designer. And it says something about the strength and rigidity of this platform. In keeping with the modern trends of today's racing, Beeline Products has now produced the Bolt. It builds upon the Sendstorm platform, maintaining the spiky arms. However, it shrinks everything down into a much lighter, more compact racing frame designed purely for performance. If anything, it sacrifices a little bit of durability to eke out every bit more performance in a racing frame. The main focus, however, for this design of frame is to get the propellers as close together as physically possible to ensure maximum thrust and maximum power when racing. Unlike previous generations of Beeline products, the arms are not compatible, and this is a completely new redesign of the frame. In one of the areas where the Beeline Bolt really differs from the Sendstorm is in the dimensions overall. You can see here with the Beeline Bolt on top that the cage that your components will be mounted in is significantly smaller, and there's also the addition of press nuts. So this limits the type of equipment that you can use. Obviously, like the Sendstorm Lite, you can only use nano cameras, but you are limited in the types of ESCs that you can use in this frame. Normally, a 45 watt 20 by 20 ESC would be ideal. Ones by the Talon Gigawatt, the Foxeer 45 are the most common and ideal for the Bolt, whereas the original Sendstorm is a little bit more forgiving. You can also see as you press the frames together that the size of the arms has also changed. The Bolt has smaller arms, and that gives it the closer motor post to motor post distance between the frames, giving a decrease in the tip to tip distance, which should see an increase in performance. All that is left now is to put some components into this frame and give it a test flight and see how it compares to the previous Sendstorm Lite. So now I've got my Bolt all built up in my normal racing configuration. So let's give it a test flight and see how it goes. I've got to say, that is, that felt really, really nice. Really crisp in the corners. The handling, it felt really good actually. I don't quite know how to explain it, and a lot of it's very subjective. But it felt lighter in the air. I felt like I had a lot more throttle to give. The motors aren't too hot. I didn't, really blast it there, but that felt really nice. I was going to give the Sendstorm a comparative fly, but I kind of just want to fly this thing again. No, we'll do it. We'll give the Sendstorm a go, and we'll see what it comes out at. So this is one of my Sendstorm lights. We'll give this a go and see how they compare, see how they feel in the air. I'm excited. I'm interested to see the difference. Now, I've got to say, having flown the Sendstorm light and the Bolt back to back, there is a difference you can feel. And it is the weight. That's the only thing I can say about it, is that the Sendstorm light seems to carry its weight more in corners, whereas the Bolt is much tighter in corners. I can feel like I can carry more speed through the corner, but have more control and maintain a tighter turn. And that's ultimately the biggest difference between the two frames, is that this is a much more lighter, tighter. You can see the tip-to-tip distance on the Bolt compared to the Sendstorm light here. There's a, Let's see if I can get them both in frame. But it's a noticeable difference. The compactness, the lightness of the Bolt, it's quite an exciting prospect. I quite like it. Again, durability will remain to be seen, but I'm confident that the history of the Sendstorm and its durability means that this is going to hold up stronger than 95% of all frames that are out in the market now. So it looks to be a very, very good prospect for someone wanting to get fast and maintain a durable, strong fleet of drones. So there it is. That's the Beeline Bolt. I guess the question is, does this now make the Sendstorm light redundant? I don't think so. In the same way that the Sendstorm light didn't necessarily make the original Sendstorm redundant. There are frames that have certain purposes. The original Sendstorm is ideal and perfect for beginners. It is large and it is strong and durable. It can take a 30 by 30 stack and micro cameras, meaning that beginners are not restricted in the components in which they can use. This means you can look for the cheapest components to allow you to get into racing and get started. And is a great frame and will do you for many, many years. As you progress in your racing ability and skill, and you're wanting to eke out every bit of performance that you can, the Sendstorm Lite is then an excellent upgrade. You can still maintain the same arms that you used in your previous Sendstorm build, with the smaller design, moving to a 20 by 20 stack, getting lighter, getting faster, getting the same amount of durability, but just increased performance from the original Sendstorm. Where the Bolt then fits in is for the top level pilots that are looking to get the absolute maximum performance they want out of their frame. A lighter, durable design that is Australian designed and readily available within the country if you need to get parts for this. So really, there's a Beeline frame for everyone if you're interested. But the Beeline Bolt is a great new addition to the lineup, and perhaps is something that I'll look to transition to as I start to wear out my original Sendstorm lights. So if you want to get your own Beeline Bolt or any of the Sendstorm products, head over to beelineproducts.com.au or another retailer in Australia, Rising Sun FPV, where you can pick up any of these frames, spare parts, 3D prints, you name it, and get started on these ultra durable, ultra performance frames by Beeline. Thank you.